I recently bought a bunch of teen magazines off of eBay from the early 2000s, and they have unlocked so many memories for me, specifically celebrity perfumes. Do you remember how big the Britney Spears perfumes were in the early 2000s, or just celebrity fragrances in general? And yes, celebrity perfumes still exist today, and they also existed pre-2000s, but undeniably, that was like the golden age for celebrity perfume brands. We saw perfume brands from J.Lo, Sarah Jessica Parker, Paris Hilton, like everyone had a perfume brand in the early 2000s, and I feel like the current day equivalent is the beauty brand. It almost feels like the celebrity perfume brand kind of went extinct, and I'm exaggerating, of course, when I say that. There are still plenty of celebrity perfumes. I own many of them, but they were really replaced in popularity with just the overall like celebrity beauty brand, because in 2026, every celebrity has a beauty brand. I've actually even said in videos that the celebrity beauty brand bubble kind of popped and has now been replaced in the mid 2020s with the pro beauty brand. I feel like in the last 10 years, it started with the influencer beauty brand. Every influencer had a brand. Then that was replaced with the celebrity beauty brand. And now every makeup artist, hairstylist has a beauty brand. And that's kind of like the new wave of beauty brands. But I really think the popularity of early 2000s celebrity fragrance brands really set the stage for the current day version that we see in the mid 2020s. And that got me thinking a lot about other trends and cultural phenomenons from the early 2000s that have kind of gone extinct. Honestly, a big one actually is just like teen magazines or teen media. When I was growing up, there was so much media dedicated to teens, but like that does not exist anymore. Like Teen Vogue actually closed down last year. Certainly there are many reasons for that. The biggest influence is really just like the decline of print media. However, I remember growing up being a 17 magazine girl. Okay, specifically, there was 17 magazine and Teen Vogue. I had a subscription to 17 magazine, but occasionally I would be in the grocery store and I could convince my mom to pick me up Teen Vogue, especially if someone I liked was on the cover. I was like, please, I need that. And it is so funny that, again, I literally bought these off of eBay. I'm building a collection. I want to do a video with these. Something is stirring in my brain. I haven't figured out what it is yet, but I have a 2002 17 magazine, and then these two Teen Vogues are 2010 and 2011. But I actually want to get even older ones because let me tell you, reading through these was so interesting. I think I want to film some shorts or even like Instagram reels of just like reading the things in here because it's crazy, especially the ones from 2002. Some of it I'm like, oh my gosh, they printed that. But where I was going is I remember having a stack of 17 magazines like in my desk as a kid. And it's so funny now. I'm like, I wish that I would have kept these because now I'm on like eBay wars with people to buy them. But inspired by the nostalgia that these magazines have brought back to me, I want to talk about more early 2000s trends that have either gone extinct, like fully gone extinct, or some that you might have forgotten about. Okay, I'm going to unlock some memories today. And related to perfume, I wanted to talk about having a signature scent. That used to be a big thing, but in the mid 2020s, I feel like it's been replaced by having like a scent wardrobe or even having a signature lip color. A signature something was a lot bigger 15, 20 years ago. Compared to today, people seem to crave variety and different choices. But I do kind of miss the days of a signature scent. There's something really fabulous about that of like, you know, this person's gonna smell like that. They always smell like that. It's part of their brand almost. I do miss a signature scent, a signature lip, a signature something actually. Like even, okay, watching old episodes of Friends, I always notice Phoebe wears like the same jacket in so many episodes. Like I associate her with that jacket. And there's something very chic to me about having this signature piece that you associate with her. Like I think that is a lot more fashionable than if she were to just wear a different jacket every episode and was like always switching it up. Like her having this signature piece that she rewears, I think calls back to having personal taste and I think is super chic. Another hallmark of early 2000s beauty were infomercials. Okay, so these obviously existed pre-early 2000s. However, I distinctly remember a few specific beauty products that were always on infomercials, and the biggest one was the Harigami. I know because I had a Harigami, I fell for the infomercials and I bought one, and I was actually looking for this. I was just in Michigan at my mom's house and I'm like digging through everything. I'm like, where's my Harigami? Because I knew I was going to film this video and I'm like, I want to have that to bring back, but I can't find it. It's a goner. But it was essentially like a slap bracelet. If you have seen those, you know what I'm talking about. But it was velvet and you would put your hair up in this and it promised you could make these like really cool buns or different hairstyles. I don't know how many other people bought a harigami. I've like mentioned this to some friends recently and they're like, oh, I remember the commercials, but I didn't think anyone actually bought one of those. And I'm like, oh, I did. I had a harigami. They got me. The commercials got me. I just remember in the infomercials, they made it look very easy. And I wouldn't say it's hard to do, but it's hard to achieve the styles that they like promised in the infomercials. Like all I could ever really get out of that thing was a bun. I would say, if anything, the current day version of that type of hair look is the slicked back bun. I just remember you could not escape those infomercials. I also distinctly remember Bare Minerals as being like such an infomercial brand. And like now as an adult, I love Bare Minerals. I use so many of their products, but I remember wanting to try these products so badly because they looked incredible on those infomercials. I just remember their slogan, which was swirl, tap, buff, and they would just sit there and like buff away a pimple into nothing. And I just remember wanting Bare Minerals so badly. And again, I have a lot of their products now and I love them. Their powder products really are such a great formula that like still hold up today. Like I would totally recommend. Also, the Bump It, I never had a Bump It, but one of my friends had a Bump It and I would borrow it. And the thing about the Bump It, there were multiple sizes. You could kind of choose how much height you wanted. So if you're not familiar with this product, it is an insert that you put in your hair to get more volume. Theoretically, you could style it when your hair is down and just have some volume. But for the most part, I feel like people were using this to get a little more volume in their poof or to get a really big like half up, half down look. I will say when I would borrow my friends' Bump Its, this was another one much like the harigami that never actually worked like I was promised, and I would put it in and I just remember them being almost too pointy on the top where it like was not as rounded as it needed to be. And here's the thing, to achieve that really voluminous hair, like you can get that by just teasing your hair. You don't really need to put an insert in. That was one that was like quite gimmicky, but I remember those were like all the rage. You could not escape a Bump It infomercial. You know what other big trend from this time I was thinking about recently that's kind of gone extinct is scrapbooking. I was having this conversation with some friends the other day because we used to all love to scrapbook. That was like such a thing in the early 2000s, but people rarely have like print photos anymore. Like all your pictures are on your phone. So scrapbooking just kind of died out. Like don't get me wrong, I'm sure plenty of people do still scrapbook, but I remember that being such a thing. Like if I had something coming up, I was going to take a disposable camera, take all my pictures at said event or trip or whatever it was, come back, get all of those developed, and then sit down with my stickers and my funky scissors and like glue everything into my scrapbook with like corresponding stickers to the photos. I think the current day version is junk journaling. I don't think it has the same like mass popularity that scrapbooking had in the early 2000s, but I think it's maybe like the closest iteration we have these days. But again, people don't really have printed out photos as much as we used to because everything just is digital now. So it makes sense that that one kind of died out. Did you scrapbook / do you still scrapbook? Let me know. This is not an early 2000s trend and I don't think it's like fully extinct. However, I have been waiting to talk about this, the death of nail polish. That's obviously hyperbole. I had nail polish on my hands last week, so stick with me. But I was specifically thinking about this last year when I did my lore series. I broke down different years in beauty, and for those videos, I went back and watched like so many YouTube videos that came out in each of the corresponding years. And something I was noticing from the early 2010s and prior was that most beauty videos talked about nail polish. Creators were doing like nail polish hauls, or like if they were doing a haul, they were including nail polish. They were talking about nail polish. And I mentioned that in one of the lore videos because I thought it was interesting. I'm like, I really don't hear creators talk about nail polish if they are not nail creators. But around 15 years ago, like beauty creators were talking about nail polish. Everyone was talking about nail polish. And I had some comments on that video from people saying, well, I just don't feel like people paint their nails as much anymore. And I have not stopped thinking about that since because, okay, first of all, obviously people still paint their nails. Like I said, I had nail polish on my hands last week. I would say it has decreased in popularity compared to other methods of doing your nails. So getting them professionally done, whether that's with dip, acrylics, gel, whatever, any salon treatment, or press-on nails are my nail of choice. I love a press-on. But tying it back to the theme of this video, in the early 2000s, for me, I remember getting my nails done was like a treat. Like for every day, I was painting them myself. Granted, I was younger, I was a kid at the time, but even in my life, like the adults that I knew were not getting their nails professionally done on a consistent basis. Like that was a special occasion treat of like, I'm going to a wedding, I'm a kid, I'm going to prom. Then you can get your nails done. But for the most part, I remember people painting their nails with nail polish at home. Whereas flash forward now in the 2020s, I find a lot of people regularly getting their nails done professionally or using press-on nails or like using some nail treatment that is not nail polish. That being said, I think that is changing and will continue to change with financial constraints. I said in my predictions video, I think the bare nail is really gonna have a moment moving forward, but let me know. Do you regularly use nail polish on your nails? Are you going to the salon? Like what's the 411 on nails these days? And now to unlock some memories, I have some hair looks and products and tools from the time that you probably forgot about, starting with the hair wrap. This was so popular at the time. So you take your hair and you would braid a small piece of it, and then you take like a thread and you can do different designs down the hair. You can add beads. This was something I would often see people doing on vacation. Like you might go somewhere and have your hair done in this hair thread, or you could do it at home. I remember I've always been a DIY girl. I remember I had like a book of hairstyles of how to do these with all the little threads, and I would sit there and try to like put these in my hair. This is something I'm surprised didn't come back. And it's so interesting to me to see like Y2K influence in fashion and in beauty. And so much of it I wouldn't say is like super historically accurate, or there are certain trends that I feel like people really lean into that like, yeah, we were doing at the time, but then there were other things like this where I'm like, I'm surprised no one has really like brought this back. I feel like instead when people talk about like Y2K hair, I'll see like little butterfly hair clips or just putting your hair in lots of small clips. And certainly like that was a look then and people were wearing it, but there were so many other hairstyles from the time that I don't really see people recreate when they're talking about that era, and the like hair wrap was definitely one of them. Also, I remember having like fake hair scrunchies, which were really big at the time, and don't get me wrong, having like a hair piece like this is still popular today. Certainly not extinct. I would actually say today in 2026 we have way better options of like faux hair scrunchies or ponytails that you can use, but I remember in the early 2000s having this very fake looking hair scrunchie, and like it never actually matched the color of your hair. Like it would be so obvious that this was like fake hair on your head because first of all, the hair itself didn't look that real. It looked like plastic. And then the color never quite matched. And then after you wore that scrunchie more than a couple times, it started to just like look like a frizzy mess. That being said, I want a fake hair scrunchie these days. I was thinking that, okay, so after I cut my hair off, now it's growing back and I can put it in a bun. It's long enough to put in a bun now. But right after I cut my hair off last fall, I was like, I kind of want a fake hair scrunchie so I can go back to doing buns like I like to do, because I felt like I couldn't do it when my hair was short. Ooh, okay, going back to the hair wrap, this one is kind of similar. I remember, let me know if anyone else had this. I had this tool, probably from an infomercial, that was supposed to braid your hair for you. And I put that in air quotes because it was not braiding. It was just twisting your hair. You would put two pieces in and you would turn the machine on and it would like spin, and then it would have to spin the other direction. And you had to be so careful because that would just like tie your hair up into a knot or like rip your hair out. Your hair would get stuck in that thing. Like that was so dangerous to be giving to children and saying, hey, put your hair in this and turn it on. And again, I cannot emphasize enough, it wasn't braiding your hair because it wasn't three pieces. It was just twisting the hair. It looked cute though. I loved that thing. Going back to the harigami, the people that made harigami also made the part pizzazz. I don't know if you remember this. This was the most gimmicky product ever. Like, remember when I said the bump it was gimmicky? Not as gimmicky as the part pizzazz. This was essentially the other side of a brush. Like, the only purpose of this product is to part your hair, but at the time people liked a zigzag part, like they liked doing fun things with their part. So this tool promised to help you make a zigzag part. And to be fair, like it did deliver on that promise. You can make a part with this, but you can also probably just make a part with your finger or the other side of a brush or like a million other tools. Like this was so gimmicky. So you were supposed to use it, do the part, and then like open the sides of it like scissors. And I'm like, why would I even have to open it? It was a huge gimmick. Do you want to see a video with these teen magazines? Let me know. I'm definitely going to do some short form content with them, but I may or may not do a full length video. If you missed my last video, it was all about products that you will always regret buying. So I will have that one linked right here. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.